tiger and a goat. And something stirs in the back of Majvor's mind. The one who looks like an ape. She's afraid that this might cause another fit of hysteria, but the boy nods thoughtfully. Yes, I suppose he does look a bit like an ape. So, what about him? Majvor says. You can be him. Do I have to sound like you just did? Of course. See if you can do it. Majvor tries to imitate the sound the boy made, and he laughs again, but appreciatively this time. Then he explains the game. They're going to blow up something called the Death Star. There will be lots of enemy spaceships, and Chewbacca must be ready to man the guns. Majvor makes the noise to show that she has understood, and they're off. Majvor used to play games with her boys when they were little, and it's amazing how quickly it all comes back to her. After a few minutes, Majvor steps back and watches herself. She's sitting there grunting and waving her paws and pretending to fire laser guns, while at the same time her mind feels clearer than it has done for a long time. She doesn't give a thought to Donald or her cinnamon buns or anything else outside the situation. Since the children moved out, she often feels incapable of grasping what it's all about, what is important, what she should be doing with her life. That kind of egotistical brooding doesn't exist right now. She knows what she should be doing, and she knows what is important. She must defeat Darth Vader. Stefan has never had unrealistic expectations of himself or his life. When he left school with acceptable grades, he immediately started working full-time in his father's grocery store. His little cabin in the grounds was extended, and he lived there until he was 23, when he was able to buy a house of his own just 300 meters away with a loan secured by his parents. For 2 years he lived with Jenny, a girl he'd met at school. Then Karina came back to Orleviken, and a few difficult months followed before everything settled down. They married when they were 28, and 2 years later Stefan took over the store. It was a couple of years before they decided to try for a baby, and another 3 before they succeeded. By the time Emil was born in 2006, the store was flourishing, as well as a store in a small community could be expected to flourish, and they had renovated the house from top to bottom. Stefan remembers that moment a year or so later very well indeed. It was a Sunday morning at the beginning of June. He was looking forward to opening up the store. This was the best time of the year. Enough customers to make him feel secure, but the frantic rush of high summer was still to come. He was humming Hey, Hey, Monica as he walked downstairs and stopped 3 steps from the bottom. Karina had got up with Emil an hour ago, and the 2 of them were in the kitchen. Stefan had a perfect view from where he was standing. The morning sun was shining in through the window, casting its soft light over the oiled wooden floor and rag rugs. The aroma of coffee and freshly baked bread filled the air. Karina was moving around the floor with Emil's feet balanced on her own as she held his hands. Emil was laughing, his downy blonde hair almost transparent as Karina kissed the top of his head and nuzzled him with her nose. Stefan stood motionless, watching. And that was when the thought came to him, this moment. Take it in. Save it. This was perfection. He had everything he had ever wanted, everything. If nirvana means freedom from demands and desires, he had achieved it in that instant. And yet he hadn't, because he still had one wish, that it would never end, that things would stay like this forever. With one hand resting on the banister, he absorbed the light, the aromas, the sound of Emil's laughter, and Karina's murmurs of encouragement, the image of a strand of hair falling forward as she bent over her son, turning to gold as it was caught by a sunbeam. The lawn outside the window, the wagtail on the veranda rail. He wanted to save it all. He'd been standing there for perhaps 10 seconds when Karina caught sight of him, smiled and said, "Good morning, coffee's ready." Emil toddled a few steps under his own steam and shouted, "Offie!" Then down he went. Perhaps it isn't unusual for people to think this way at moments of particular happiness. Let me hold on to this forever. What was special about Stefan's situation was that he had succeeded. It took some work, that was undeniable.